and welcome to another VLRP lesson. My name is Ntie Mpanya, and today we are going to tackle the understanding of active and passive voices for grade 8. By understanding, I mean learners must know how to rewrite the sentence which is in active and how to rewrite it into passive, because the question will be, rewrite the following sentence into active or passive voice. Remember, you are not going to, it is not always the case that you'll get an active sentence in which you have to change it into passive. Some examiners will give you a passive voice or sentence in a passive voice. Yours is to rewrite it into active voice. In active voice, we always say the subject performs the action. Who is our subject here? Our subject here is the dog. And which action is the dog performing? The dog is chasing. Now, in passive voice, the subject receives the action. Now, who is our subject? It is the dog. Now, if the dog is receiving the action, from whom is the dog receiving the action? It receives the action from our object, the cat. Now we will say the cat was chased by the dog. We'll explain why we added was and by, because in the previous sentence in active, it's only the dog chased the cat, but now in passive, we have added two more words, was and by. How to identify active and passive voices? In active voice, the sentence will have the following: a subject, a verb, and an object. We saw in our previous example that the dog chased the cat. That sentence was in past tense, simple past tense. But now our sentence here is in simple present tense. That's why we say a dog, which is singular in the third person, chases the cat. In the structure of the sentence in passive voice takes this form: is object plus form of to be. Remember, I spoke about was, and plus the participle of the verb, not the verb in past tense, participle of the verb, plus by, and then you end up with the subject. Now, the two words to which I referred earlier on are form to be, then it was, and by. The form to be depends on what? On the number and the tense of the active sentence. So you must be careful when you change the sentence from active to passive. Look at the number. The dog is singular. In which person? The third person. Therefore, the verb will take S at the end because it's a singular dog. That will also have an effect on your what? On your form to be. Here it is. The cat was chased by the dog. The cat is an object, was is a form to be, remember from the previous example. Chased is our past participle. We added by, and now we have the what? The subject, which is the dog. How to change or convert a sentence from active to passive voice in present tense. The chef prepares the meal. We have one chef, it's singular, and in the third person. That's what you have to look at. How many subjects are performing the action? Here we have one subject. In which person? Remember, we have a first person, I, second person, you, third person, any common name. Now, What is our verb here? That's the second question. Our verb is prepares. Now, you ask yourself regarding the verb, in which tense is our verb? Our verb here is in simple present tense, and obviously our object will be the meal because the meal receives the action in active voice. Now, here is step by step to show how to change or convert a sentence from active to passive voice. Firstly, you identify the object, as I've already indicated here. The object is the meal. Move the object to the front as the new subject. It doesn't become a new subject. It remains the object. It remains the object. But now it takes the place of of the subject. Here we have moved to what? The meal at the beginning of the sentence. Identify the number of the object and the tense of the verb. The object is singular and in present tense. Can you see the verb? The verb is in present tense. So we always say in English, the object and the verb must agree both in person, first, second, and third person, and in number, singular and plural. Now you have to look at the appropriate form of the auxiliary verb to be. Do we use is, are, was, or were? Yes, we use it depending on the what? On the tense. The meal is, change the verb to past participle form. The verb prepares changes to what? To prepared. The meal and the original subject if necessary by the chef. Ne? Now the meal remains there because it is our object. And the meal is in present tense because we use is. Finally, the sentence. The meal is prepared by the chef. I'm going to explain it now because we have a full sentence. Remember what was the active voice? The chef prepares the meal. Now we are changing this sentence into a passive voice. We say the meal, which is our subject, which receives the action now, is our auxiliary verb. There you can see it. It is here. Why do we use is? Because the meal is singular and our verb prepares, there it is, was in present tense. Then our verb takes the what? The participle, not the past tense. Then the meal is prepared by who? By the chef. Normally, examiners do not, or markers do not look at the subject per se. Anything after by is an additional information. We want to see whether you can recognize that this sentence is in present or past and the number and the person of the subject. Because that will actually, apologies, the number and the person of the object. Because that will determine which auxiliary verb is used. And then please do not talk about past tense. We talk about past participle of the verb. Here it is. The subject is singular. Then you add auxiliary verb is because the sentence, our object, the meal, is in present tense and in a singular form and is a third person. And the participle of the verb prepares becomes prepared. And who does that? Is optional by the chef. Thank you very much. I hope that you enjoyed this lesson. Until we meet again on the 2nd of September, have a wonderful Thursday afternoon. Thank you.